My name is Jerm. This is Germ Warfare, the battle of ideas. My good friend, Steve Falconer, thank you for joining me in the trenches.
Jerm, awesome to be back, man. And on UK Column, I love it. Thank you. Oh, by the way, that's great. The great Rebecca Scott from Create More and Dawn Lester, there's an event coming up September 11th. I know that's an inside job, but up in London in Regent's Park at Herringham Hall. So it's a conference. There's 6 speakers. Steve Young's there. I think you've had him on your show. Dawn Lester, a few other great ones. September 11th in Regent's Park. So if anyone from London's watching, which they should be, go to Illuminate Elevate 2026. Just Google that. Or you can go on my Spacebusters channel, and there's a 6-minute promo video with all the details and all that. So I'm excited to get back to London, man. I haven't been there in ages.
I don't use Google, by the way.
Yeah, you don't at all.
No, I don't use any of their products other than the maps. That's the only one that seems to be the most reliable. Apple Maps is not too bad, but I struggle to find places without a good map.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, it's like we always talk about you and I technology. It's a double-edged sword. Just use it for what you need. It's useful. You know, you don't have to drive around in your car like with county maps and shit like the old days, you know, pulling over, seeing where you're at and stuff. So, I mean, you know, it has its uses, even though it's spying on you, but you might as well use it for what you can.
Well, I mean, you could technically use an old school map, but I think it's quite dangerous to drive now with a map on your dashboard.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I don't even have a car, man, so I don't worry about it. I'm walking around on bus and train. So.
Oh, but you can, though. You're in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the cities are small and laid out. You're like, it's a hassle to have a car. And that's when you run into the pirates. Like, I haven't run into the police in 20 years since I got rid of my car. That's the only time you run into cops is in the car. They're like pirates on wheels.
Well, Steve, I can tell you, you will struggle to get around in Africa without a car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too hot to be walking around, too.
Well, not just that. Not just that. It's just that the infrastructure is broken. The roads are broken. The public transport's broken. You basically... Look, it's a blessing in disguise because it forces you to be self-reliant. You have to do things on your own. Nobody's doing it for you.
That's right. And that's all by design. That's not just Africa. They've set up the infrastructure around the whole world so that it starts to crumble. That's how they're going to drive people into the cities and everything. They've set up buildings to collapse bridges. This is all by design. They don't want you living out free, so they're just letting everything crumble. So it's a pain in the ass, and then all the stores will slowly close down and all that. This is all part of Agenda 21, 2030. So it's no accident. Here it's like there's constant construction, but it's only building new crap in the cities. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, funny, where you want to hurt us, you got tons of construction. But the rest of the crap, they just let it crumble, and you're like, all right, I got you. So, but anyway.
Well, that's the segue into your film, your new massive. It's not even a film. It's like a library.
Yeah, it's 3. It's going to be 3. I've released. It's called Apocalypse Infinity. Part 1 and 2 are out, and then part 3 is probably going to be another 2.5 hours. So you're looking at 7 hours altogether. I consider it one movie cut into 3 parts. Jaws 1, 2, 3.
That's epic. That's pretty epic.
Oh, thanks, man. And I've been, all this really is, Jerm, is I've taken 25 years of my research and just put it together and saying, hey, I'm not saying believe this, don't, this is right, wrong, whatever. I'm saying this is what I think's going on based on all I've done, and I'm putting all my references in there for everybody and saying, I think this is what's going on in the world, and this is the problem. What do you think? Take it or leave it. And, like I said in the intro, it would take you more than 6 hours to read just one of the dozens and dozens and dozens of books that have gone into this research over the years. So I'm just doing everyone a solid because I know a lot of people don't sit around reading like dry books and stuff anymore. I get it. And I'm not saying anything new. A lot of the stuff I'm presenting has been said for years by people like Jordan Maxwell and David Icke, and Michael Tessarian and stuff. But I've never seen anyone put it into a film version. It's always like podcast talks or a little this and that. So I thought, well, this would be good to have it in a movie where it's all there in one spot.
Well, you're going to take me through some of it in an even shorter space of time. So good luck with that, Steve.
Yeah.
So I saw the first one, and I mean, you cover a lot of territory just in the first video.
Yeah. So part one really is, oh, you haven't seen part two yet. Okay, that's the good one where everyone hates me because I show it's not the Jews, which I've been on your show several times talking about black nobility, Jesuits, but we get into even more that there's not just them. It's a big cult of Venus. But anyway, so part one really is looking at the ancient Irish origins of civilization, which is one of the things they're hiding, the Irish origins of the Bible and actually all of the Abrahamic religions. And you know, that's one of the things they've been hiding is there's an old extinct language that only 2% of the Irish can speak called Irish, but it used to be called Gaelic, but that's not Gaelic. So people need to not confuse those two, but just call it Irish. And when you know that language, you can start to see the characters in the Bible and the Old Testament and New are not historical people. They're Irish hybrid names for spiritual sciences that were taught by the ancient Druids that are these people who went all around the world that all the natives say had red hair, blue eyes, came and taught sun worship, religion, science, and all this stuff. And as I got into there, like a lot of Christians get upset because we get into what Iesa Krios really means. And it's very upsetting to a lot of people. Actually, I have to say, kudos to all the Christians. They've been really cool in the comment section and having like real good civil discourse, you know, which is really great. The truthers are coming after me worse in part two because I'm saying it's not the Jays.
But hold on. Before you go any further, I find this argument of yours quite compelling because without even thinking for more than 10 seconds, if the whole world is just focusing on the Jews, it has to therefore be a distraction.
Right. I mean, to me, it's obvious. I mean, like now you look at like since 2023, the BBC, Fox News, New York Times, all of these publications who used to never, ever expose Israel, they would never do that. They've been showing you all these Palestinian marches worldwide in countries that even support Israel and don't support Palestine. And they're all these marches. You don't just get to like 100,000 people and start marching. You need to get city permits, police escorts. Like it's a big deal. And it's like, okay, if these Jews own all the media, why would they be exposing themselves that it's the Jews hate the Jews now? You know, what they call anti-Semitism. I'll just call it Jewish hatred. I just saw a couple articles that I put in the movie. It's up 300 to 500% in most places. So if you were running a world conspiracy, why would you go, the next part of the plan is we're going to make everybody hate us so they can thwart us? That's like playing chess against Bobby Fischer and telling him your next 5 moves. Look, he's going to kill you anyway. Like you wouldn't do that. So I'm with you.
Isn't Bobby Fischer that one who went into hiding?
I don't know if he did. He was like that young kid prodigy who could play like 20 people at once. He'd just walk around whooping everyone's ass. He was like the great prodigy or whatever. Yeah, he might have went crazy. He might have been one of those guys. I don't know. Oh, yeah, because there was a movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. Yeah, I think
something
he
like
just disappeared, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so part 2 is 2.5 hours of me laying out what people claim is the Jewish conspiracy, and then me going deeper, really looking into all the claims and showing, no, every time you look into this, it's not. You can.
No, but hold on, Steve. So you are immediately going to get pushback from people saying, okay, but why are you protecting the Jews? I mean, it's quite obvious that there's a lot of evil going on.
Yeah, and as I show in part 2, I'm not. I am not sticking up for the Jews in Israel. It's despicable what they're doing in Palestine. It's inhumane. It's gross. What I do get into is the psychology behind it and who's behind that. With Miranda Proschus and Inter Marifica, people don't know the Vatican they said the Roman Church has the rights to own all media, all journalism, all everything. They own all movies, all everything. They said it's their right to own it all because Catholic is universal. So they say, oh, it's so we can bring everyone together in one love. So I'm not sticking up for them. What I'm showing is they were put there on purpose, for a purpose, not for a Jewish state or anything like that. And have been victimized. I was just on you've had Dr. Andy Kaufman on. I was on Andy's podcast because he's a psychiatrist. So we talked about people who are victimizers and abusers. Andy told me it's more like 80% of them 80% of victimizers and abusers have been victimized and abused themselves. It's not that 80% of people who have been victimized and abused will become victimizers and abusers. So the way you get the Jews to do what they're doing is what's covered in part 1. You tell them to take the Bible literally, and that there was a historical place called Jerusalem, which there wasn't, in a place called Israel, and that they are entitled to it. And then you kick them out of countries, you slaughter them all over Europe for 2,500 years, and then you stick them in their homeland in the Middle East. And of course, then you get everyone to hate them, which is what Netanyahu's job is. So, of course, they're going to start to feel like, well, shit, this is our last chance to survive, right? We're all tribal people. And then you arm them, then you arm their enemies too, because this is how you do it. That's how you make an army of abusers and victimizers. This is exactly how you do it. So I don't stick up for what is going on. And by the way, most Jews in the world don't stick up for that either. It's not like I have a lot of Jewish friends who are like, that's disgusting. I don't stand for that. And Zionism is not Jewish, as I show in both part 1 and 2. Zionism is not a Jewish creation. There are 17 sects of Zionism, the oldest being Christian Zionism, which was around in the 1820s and 30s. The next being Labor Zionism, which is a Roman Catholic-backed Masonic version of it. The rest of it, all the political Zionism and stuff, there's Jews all over Israel with signs saying Zionism is not Judaism. Like the Jews don't even like it. So, I'm trying to show people that this is a very nuanced and deep conversation. And as you see yourself in the truth community, people just stereotype. There's no nuance. It's like, it's them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've talked about this a lot.
Yeah, but that's why I disassociate with, quote unquote, the truth community. I didn't put myself into any group like that.
Yeah. And I think it's because we too are infiltrated. You guys are going through some weird stuff at your publication there. I'm not saying they're part of it, but I'm saying anybody who's making a difference or a movement, they are going to be infiltrated. This is what they do. This overarching cult of Venus, they're called. This is how they do it. So they start infighting. They do Hegelian dialectic within movements. So you're right. The best thing you can do is stay out of those movements, because then you don't get suckered in like they do. Like an Alex Jones comes out, he's saying what we're saying, but he's acting bat-ass crazy. I don't know if I can swear on UK column, but
you can say whatever you want on my show.
Right. So you got this guy going, the frogs are gay. I've got the documents, and like this, but he's saying what you're saying. So now a normal person thinks you must be a crazy because they use the logical fallacy of guilt by association, right? Or people come out going, it's the aliens. It's a subdimensional aliens with bases on the moon and Saturn and archons from behind. It's always this enemy who's like extra dimensional who doesn't have names and addresses. So you can't do anything about it. That's how they do it. And then you start to sound like a crazy because they're still saying what you're saying. It's just that you're saying it sanely, but you don't get popular. The people who have like millions of followers are the ones who are acting batshit crazy. So funny, we don't get popular when we talk sane. So
Alex,
what's that?
I said, Alex has been on my show and I've been on his show. So I've got a soft spot for Alex. But I got to say, Steve, I think he's the only guy who can pull off cheesy 80s style broadcasting. Like he'll look straight at the camera and he'll go, what I'm about to tell you. Come closer. And then the camera will go closer. He's the only guy who can pull that off.
And everyone has a good and a weird side. We're humans. So I'm not saying like whatever the guy's agenda, I think he's probably working with the people that I'm covering, but it doesn't mean he's like an evil guy all the time. Like he's supposed to be pretty funny and like pretty cool, but and he's an
entertainer. He's an entertainer.
this is it. And this is why people even like watching me on shows like this, because I have a little bit of that American crazy shit, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I went to school for radio, so I understand. Like UK column is great, but Brian Garish is really Brian Garish. It's very like this. And Americans a lot don't like UK column because we grew up on Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura. It's a conspiracy, I'm telling you. It's like pro wrestling. We love like Mean Gene. What do you think? Macho Man, Hulk Hogan. Like, we find that crap really entertaining, and so that's why they get these big personalities to do this stuff, because they can hook you with their. They're very charismatic. Let's say that.
Steve, you and I speak off air, and one of the things that that infuriates me is this binary narrative, this paradigm, this framework that happens within those who call themselves quote unquote truthers. It's either this or it's that. They don't understand complexity or nuance, and I think it's very damaging.
It really is the main weapon used against us. I think it's by design that let's call them the rabbit holes. They're put out there like that on purpose, and they are really good. Like, I won't name names. You've had them on the show in a fight with them. There's one guy, it's the Jesuits. It's all the Jesuits. It's only the Jesuits. And then there's other people like, it's only the black nobility, and others, it's Freemasons.
It's the Jews. It's the Jews.
Yeah. Even the ones who come to the other side and start to figure out some of the groups, they just take one of the groups. So what this film series, Apocalypse Infinity, does is I'm showing in parts 2 and 3 all the groups. There's a lot of them. There's not just any of them. And yeah, they are all involved. It's not like there aren't Jews involved in this, but they aren't running the show. They're always used. And the ones who are corrupt, they get their little fiefdom over the Jews, because the Jews aren't going to listen to like Roman Catholics. Like, they're Jewish, so they're not going to follow the Pope. So what you do is you get the Jewish leaders on your side through the Jesuits. Then you control them through those leaders. They'll do what their Jew leader says. They won't. You see what I mean? So that's how they kind of get them and do it. And they also use a lot of what I call frenemies. Have you ever heard the term frenemy?
Yeah.
So they do a lot of this. So when you start going down these conspiracy rabbit holes, you'll say, well, the Knights Templar hate the Roman Catholic Church because they burned them alive on Friday the 13th, and they ran and like, so the Pope was against them. Or the Vatican kicked the Jesuits outright. They banned the Jesuits from the Roman Catholic Church for 50 years. Or Martin Luther wrote the 95 Thesis, and then Protestantism. But this is how they infiltrate stuff, is they pretend, or like the Roman Catholic Church doesn't like Freemasonry, right? You can't be a Freemason because they're against the church. But that's how the Knights Templar infiltrate Freemasonry lodges, because the Knights Templar pretend the Vatican has hated them since 1200 or 1300 AD. So now the Masonic lodges start letting Knights Templar into the lodges, right? Like Scottish Rite, York Rite, some of the main lodges that are infiltrated. That's why they let them in, because they think, oh, the church hates you too. The Jesuits made the church kick them out. When the church banned the Jesuits, they sat together and planned it, because all the Protestant countries didn't like the Jesuits or the Vatican anymore. So the Jesuits, in order to infiltrate Protestant countries and schools and stuff, had to get kicked out of the Roman Catholic Church. So now the Protestant countries are like, oh, they don't like you. You must be with us. See, they play the frenemies game. That's how they infiltrate you. You drop your guard because you think, well, we both hate the Vatican and they hate both of us, so now we're buddies. And then they secretly do their job. I think they're doing the same in the truth community. I'm not going to name any names, but there's one particular one who I've been at some conferences with, where this guy, like, to me, it just reeks of it, and I'm like, dude.
And the thing also, Steve, is that you shouldn't be attacking people who are on your side. That is a clear sign of deception.
Yeah, divide and conquer is a good one. Yeah. So I don't know if have you noticed like a lot of divide and conquer in the truth community, especially since COVID, really, like over the last 3-4. When did you see it start happening?
I only saw it starting to happen about a year ago.
Right. Yeah. To me, it's like exponentially getting worse. Like I started to see, yeah, because, and before Convid even, it seemed like the truth community was still coming together. If there wasn't really a truth community yet, it seems like Convid was like, boom, now we've got a truth, we are all together. Even flat earthers and ballers were coming together. You know what I mean? Like everyone was coming together like, all right, we got more important shit to deal with than this crap right now. And then, yeah, you're right. Like recently, now there's sub-fighting within the flat earth community. There's sub-fighting in the no germ movement or, the health freedom community, political communities. People who were figured out the Trump train was BS are now jumping back on the Trump train. You're like, what? They were finally off it. You're like, this guy poisoned like his whole country, and now you're going back to it's just like, what? So I think we became very dangerous, and so their agents are out there doing their best, and a lot of them are pointing at the Jays or whatever. Like there's a lot of that going on.
The thing is, these are low-hanging fruit. When you only look for one target, like the Jews,
right?
It's lazy and it's binary.
Yeah, and also as I get into both the films, what we call Jewish people today, that's not the Hebrews and the Yudes from the Bible and all that stuff. They're not the same people. They have nothing to do with each other. Modern Jews are pretty new. There was no ancient Jews because the letter J wasn't even invented till 1523 or 4. They were called Yuds, I-U-D-H-S, who were followers of the Gnostic Eber or Hebrew priests. This is what a lot of Christians and Jews don't know, is their religions are Gnostic sun worship. They just are. I'm sorry, but I show that in the film. You got a fly on you or what?
Yeah, I got a fly. It's flying around my face.
Be careful. They'll be like 666. The demon is making flies come all over.
Someone took a screenshot of me on my show some time ago. I happened to have done something like this with my hand. Look, Jerm's a Mason.
Oh, yeah, you do the pyramid, or if you scratch your face and they're like, he's covered. I just had to ban a guy like this conference I was telling you about. We're doing it on September 11th, but I had, and then one of the ticket prices for the discount was 133 quid and, not 32. So, and then we're holding it at Regent's Park, which there's like a pentagram on the sidewalk in Regent's Park, but it's not like we time traveled and like made a pentagram. Like they've put them all over every city. Like this is the cult of Venus putting them there. And this guy's like, September 11th, 33 for the ticket, and there's a pentagram on the ground, And I'm like, I didn't even have time to even talk to the guy. I just like blocked him, I'm like, we just don't want you around. And it's getting to that point now. I used to believe in like total free speech in, like in my comment sections, even the trolls. I just let them troll. But my friend Beth Martin said, no, like you need to weed your garden. Topher said that to me too. He's like, you need to go out and pull the weeds out of your garden if they're strangling the flowers. You can't just ignore them and let them grow. So now I started being more diligent, about going back in and getting rid of those kind of obvious trolls. I don't mind if they disagree in a cool way. It's when they're like doing stupid troll shit, just like, dude, you got to go.
Well, that's chaos. They call those chaos agents. They serve no value whatsoever.
Yeah, they don't have anything productive to say. They just criticize, but they don't add anything. And, Beth Martin's also told me, she said, no, Steve, you want an echo chamber, because a lot of people say, I want to reach more and more people. She said, no, what you really want is an echo chamber. You want to be with your tribe now. So you don't want to be spending your time and energy fighting all these trolls in your comment section and arguing. You want to spend your time now. We need to do stuff, making stuff, coming back together. Even these movies I just put out, I'm just showing people what I think's going on and who's behind it, because you do need to know. And I'm showing people a different history, a different alternative of the past, because George Orwell said, he who controls the present controls the past. He who controls the past controls the future, which means we need to know why do they spend so much time and money rewriting history, books. We even from 9/11, right from the day it happened, they were already rewriting the books. All of a sudden, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like 19 hijacker. Just this fake news already started from the beginning. It's already a bad story. So they've been rewriting the past, and I think we need to know where we really come from to know to take control of where we're going. I'm not making these movies so people go out and like kill all these people who are in charge and all that. I don't condone murder at all. Self-defense, I do. Like, they are trying to kill us. So, but even this movie, it's just for knowledge. Like, it's not super useful, except if you understood this, you would not fall for all the fighting in the Middle East. You would lay down your arms and go, oh my God, we've been duped.
So where does your series take us?
Well, for those who watch the movies, and like you said, it's too short to, we can't possibly cover 5.5 hours of movie right now. But I think if people would start sharing it now, again, like, how it is with all brainwashing, religious brainwashing is the hardest to overcome. So I don't expect a lot of Jews and Muslims to watch this film series and go, oh my God, I'm going to stop this now and change my way. I don't know that they're reachable, but the more of them that are, and who can start talking to their communities about this and say, hey, are you aware of this? Like, what do you think of this? The more we can lessen, I think, the chaos and the damage, right? Which I think also, I think a lot of these groups that they're like the extreme jihadists and the extreme right and the woke left and LGBT, PMM, LMNOP, all these revolutionary groups, they're being put together on purpose and duped. So if we can just get some of them to understand the bigger picture, which is what my films and my work usually do. My gift is to take a lot of researchers and put them together in the big picture. Maybe some of them can come to their senses and see like, oh man, this is not really what we should be doing, right? So I'm not saying we can get rid of those groups, but if we can soften some of them and get some to drop out more, if we can get people to the middle, I think we'll have a better chance to navigate through what's coming, that because like you said, it's just getting extremely polarized right now. Everyone's getting more lunatic right, more lunatic left, more total religious, more atheist. I think we need like more middle ground.
Something that I have been trying to apply since I started my podcast is to look for common ground rather than what divides. So I don't have to agree with everything you say, but I'm going to take the things that I think are valuable and I'm going to use those, and I'm going to discard the things that I don't find valuable. I find that quite helpful.
Yeah, Jerm, that's like a skill that a lot of people have lost, including myself. I catch myself doing it, where I'm watching someone and they've got a guest on and they're saying some great stuff. And then they start talking about rockets going to the moon and all. And, my instinct is like, shut this guy off. He's a moron. But you have to stop yourself and say, no, just ignore that. He makes some good points. And, I catch myself doing it. So it's like totally a normal thing to do. But yeah, it's a skill we've lost to listen to somebody, just to listen to somebody, even knowing you don't agree with them. And then see but what can I get out of this, right? Which used to be the point of a debate. Like, we don't have debates anymore. We just have arguments online. Like, I'm here to win. And in the old debates, each team got a fair time and they heard each other out and say, hey, are you saying, let me understand, are you saying this and that? And then they question each other.
That's a good point, Steve. I have been trying for a long time to set up debates between two opposing sets of views. Impossible.
I like you and I offline. Yeah, you wrote me and said that, and I said, "Good luck," because only because people don't. They have lost the ability and the skill to debate. I don't even know if they're. That's a good. You made me think. I wonder if there's still debate teams in school. We had debate teams in like grade school, junior high, high school. I don't remember college, but in school you learned how to debate in like logic class. And then there were debate teams, like you tried out for the debate team and would go debate other schools or classes. Maybe they've taken that out of school. I don't know. Have you?
No, I don't know. I've got no idea. It's a good question. I'll have to ask around. I mean, something else that I've noticed is you're right. It's so polarized. It's either somebody saying, oh, I'm going to destroy him, as if it's some sort of muscle flex, or it's just random arguing. It's not about understanding and trying to learn.
Yeah, and yes, term. And then also I noticed too, if it is a debate or an argument, there's a meanness to it. No one's like having civil discourse. They're being really ruthlessly mean and snaky on each other. And it turns to logical fallacies, name calling and ad hominem, attack the messenger, attack their character.
Guilt by association also. Oh, you platformed him.
Yeah, that's the one we use, like with Alex Jones and all them, right? Like if somebody's saying the truth but they sound crazy, you're with them crazy. They never say, "Oh, crazy's with you." They say, "You're with crazy." That's how they run it. It's effective, or they wouldn't use it as a technique. But yeah, and you have it because you're a host. You're like a podcaster and a radio host. And I sometimes interview people, but it's loaded because I interview people I already know and like and want to talk to. You're getting people on challenging, but you have the same thing. You've got guests saying stuff I know you don't believe, but you have to be cool and civil about it and have a discourse, So you have learned the skill because it's your job to have that skill.
Yes, but also I can learn things that I otherwise might not have known.
Yeah, and I've heard you yourself. Your beliefs have changed drastically in the last 6 years. And that's because you've had guests on you used to think were saying crazy town, and you heard them out and you're like, shit, that's not so crazy town after all. When you think about it, but nobody's giving not nobody, that's me generalizing. Many people aren't giving people that chance, that we're so polarized. I don't even have time to hear you out. I don't got time to listen to this guy unless he's saying what I want to hear. You know what I mean? Which is like, well, that's the quickest way I think to get stunted is to stop listening to other opinions. That's the trouble we're in, is we all get polarized again. I know for sure 1,000% it's the Jays or it's the Jesuits or even me. I'm saying to people like, hey, this is what I think. If you can show me proof that I'm wrong, I'm totally happy to change my mind. I'm not even saying all this shit's true or not. I'm saying, here it is. Here's my references. You tell me, man. You know what I mean? But you better come. I came with 20 some years of references and showing you better come with some references, not just your opinions. That I'm not interested in.
Apocalypse Infinity. Tell me about that name.
Well, so apocalypse is not the end of the world. It means the great unveiling. So a lot of people think the apocalypse is like the world's going to blow up. It doesn't mean that. It means an unveiling. And obviously you can see the logo. Like I got the inspiration from Apocalypse Now. I even used like the font, you know what I mean, to the color. So that was an awakening. Now Apocalypse Infinity would mean a great unveiling, an infinite unveiling, meaning I'm going to dump a massive infinite amount of consciousness on you, stuff that challenges every narrative you've ever heard from many different aspects. Yeah, and make you think, make you have a think about it. So that's kind of where I got the name of it. And it sounds cool.
Well, it was a great movie, by the way, Apocalypse Now.
Oh, the real one? Yeah, I actually just watched it again a couple months ago. It was awesome. Yeah, totally amazing. Yeah, and that movie was the same kind of thing, too. It was a conscious awakening, really. So I understand why they called it that. So, yeah, that's just why I chose it. And I really wanted to do this because, me, I'm on a lot of podcasts and things talking about any different weird subject under the moon. Like, I go from all over. So I, for myself, wanted to just consolidate everything in one place where where people can say, hey, what about this? And I can say, here, it's all there. Go see that. So, so I don't have to like keep saying the same shit over and over again because I get kind of bored of it. I want to move on with my research too. I've got other stuff to get into.
Well, what is the big picture?
Well, the big picture is, I believe people that letter that was allegedly from Albert Pike to Giuseppe Mazzini, August 15th, 1883 or 7. August 15th is when the Jesuits were formed, by the way. People say that letter's not real, or it was written by the Jesuit General Director Jansen's in the 50s. either way, it doesn't matter. That letter writes out what happened in World War I, World War II, and what it says is going to happen for World War III is happening right around us right now. You can't deny that everything in that letter says. So I don't meet everyone's arguing over, is it real? Who wrote it? Who didn't? I don't care. It's there. Somebody who knows wrote that. And what's happening is happening. So anyone who wants to know what's going on, you can just watch my movies or go read Pike World War III letter and get out of your head if Pike wrote it or not, or who did or didn't. Just look what's happening in that letter. And it says they want all the revolutionaries to become such a nuisance that the people will beg them to destroy these destroyers of civilization. And they also want people to get rid of atheism and Christianity and join their Luciferian one world religion. And when you look at Agenda 21 and 2030, Abrahamic religions are banned. And as you'll see in part 2, I showed the Jesuit general director, the Abbot Leon, in the 1800s he was sneaking he was sitting in her back room in his abbey reading. He was a Jesuit, reading books and ledgers he wasn't supposed to read. He was being naughty, and the door was cracked. And then he heard the Jesuit general, and all the top Jesuits came into the room, and he's like, shit, I can't walk out of this room right now because I'm not supposed to be in here. I'm in trouble. So he's like, do I go? And then they lay out the New World Order. They lay out the whole plan that's in the Protocols of Zion and everything happening now. And they say they're going to destroy Christianity and replace it with this. And their aim is the rule of the world. And he's sitting there just quietly taking notes. He asked God, like, what do I do? And he said, God told him, just write down what they're saying and don't get caught. And then he released that book, The Abbot Leon, The Jesuit Conspiracy. So that is the plan. They want the Jews and Arabs to finally mutually destroy each other because they want the Middle East. Henry Breakspear, you and I have talked about the black nobility. A lot of the black nobility families, people don't know, they moved to Asia and like the East and South. They're all living out there. The One Belt, One Road Initiative, if you look where the land bridge from Asia comes into the sea bridge, through the canal there by Israel, it all right where they call the Greater Israel Project, that's where the sea and land route come across. And that's where all the world trade crosses for oil, diamonds, drugs, minerals, child trafficking, organ, everything. Everything goes through there. So they want control of that, and they want the Muslims out of the way. And they put the Jews there because they wanted them to work for Britain. That's why Lord Balfour, Lord means you're a Vatican bitch. He put the Jews in Israel after Britain took it from the France in Jerusalem, in Palestine, because he thought the Jews would better serve the British interests, not the Muslims and Arabs there. So this had nothing to do with Rothschild. Balfour, this was already planned way before that Balfour Declaration and all that. Like, they knew. They didn't put them there for a Jewish homeland. They put them there to become slaves, and then they knew they could wipe them out, which is now why like we talked about, now the media is making everyone hate the Jews. And how could you not, right? Like, what they're doing is gross. They genocided God. They are genociding Gaza. That's gross. So now, of course, we're calling them the destroyers of civilization, right? We're going to want them wiped out too, of course. But first, they're going to let them wipe each other out. Same thing with them flooding Europe with all these immigrants of fighting age, right? These Islamic immigrants. George Soros and all the governments have let them in. They're letting them run wild, rape women. They just beheaded some poor guy on the street in Belfast, and everyone's kicking off. Well, it was too costly in theater wars to go hunt them all down and kill them in the Middle Eastern countries. So they set a trap. They invite them all here where we have surveillance cameras everywhere, biometrics. These people don't have passports. They can't leave. They're stuck here. So and that's why the government's letting them kick off, because they want us, problem, reaction, solution, to say, you need to do something about these immigrants, which they just did at the Tommy Robinson March in England. And now Northern Belfast kicked off because of this beheading. And we're going to beg them to kill these Muslims. They've already got them right there. They're even moving them out of the hotels into military bases where they're going to be able to lock them right in. But that's the reaction. The solution isn't to get rid of them. It's to put in the robots and cops and EU troops on the streets, like Kissinger said. It's to put in the police state. That's why they're letting them run wild, because they're going to say, hey, yeah, we'll take care of this, but to keep you safe, we'll put in this biometric police state. robot cops, dogs, all that crap, so all the Agenda 21, 2030. That is the real plan, in my opinion. And that's what my research has taken me to. So it's always Hegelian dialectic, always.
You mentioned the black nobility a few times. A lot of people don't know who or what they are, but I mean, it's effectively 12 or 13 super powerful bloodlines, families. Only, I think one of them is Jewish.
There's like 5 main ones, and they have changed throughout history who's got power. Like the Colonia run America. The Orsini's are running like all of Europe and the Middle East. So the Breakspears are running China. So that's Henry Breakspear will be part of this One Belt initiative. But they also became papal families. So they figured out like the Holy Roman Emperor would appoint the Pope, and then the Pope would appoint the Emperor, and then they were fighting over who gets the bishops in the countries. So these families just figured out, well, we're the merchants. Instead of being with the Holy Roman Emperor, let's become the Pope. They started buying their family members into the as popes. So they're like, now we're the Holy Roman Emperors and we're the popes. And then they started marrying into all the royal families. So you got all the Windsors, the Guelphs and Ghibelline families. So you've got all those families, and then you've got like the sub families because they all changed their names. So the Colonia become the Collins. The Orsini's become Rothschilds, who become Rockefellers, right? So they Aldobrandini, that's Aldebaran the Star, right? The Pallavicinis, they run Islam. Allah Pallavicini, and Muslims don't know Allah is named after Neith, Dalat. Allah is a female goddess, Dalat, the red goddess of arrows and war, who the Rothschilds have her arrows on their logo and crest, and the United States Great Seal, the eagles holding their arrows of Neith, Dalat, Allah. So these families, that's why you can't say it's the black nobility or it's the Jesuits or it's the Vatican, because they're all the same thing. They have just networked together and intermarried and interbred and spread out and changed their names. It's all of it, all of them together. And no one's really in charge. They do have a fight called the Sean Ross. I don't know if you've ever had him on, the Swiss guy. He calls it vertical rule and horizontal rule. So inside their clique, they have a fight. The Pope runs everything down, and then they have a horizontal. That's called the Guelphs. Anytime you see a white flag with a red cross, like the flag of England, that's the Pope rules, and everyone else down. When you see a red flag with a white cross, like Switzerland, Denmark, Knights of Malta, that's called the Ghibellines, or horizontal rule, as Sean Ross calls it, where the presidents and all these people, prime ministers, they want local power of their turf, right? They don't want to take orders from Papa. They're still subservient, but they each want to run their patch. And, I used to wrongly think that, the presidents and prime ministers, they're just dupes and dumb puppets and stuff. But then I started looking. They all are related to, like, Charlemagne. I don't even think Charlemagne's a real character. That's another thing I'll get into. Like, I got a little into this in part one. I think these people make up the historical characters, and so they can claim they have this royal lineage. They just don't really. I think they just made it up. But all of them say they're related to King John I, Edward III, and Charlemagne. All of them, every U.S. president. So that was at least up till Clinton. And I know Trump is, because he brags that he painted, I think it was the 16th floor of Trump Tower gold after Uncle Charlemagne. He bragged about it. So then you start saying, no, these aren't dumb puppets. These are bloodline pharaoh families. These are families of these black nobility, and they do have power, but I think they pretend they don't, right? Like, I think Trump is not as dumb as everyone thinks he is. I don't think he's stupid. I think he's smart. And because I think they make up their history, remember when Joe Biden suddenly got 4 inches taller and he looked like he was wearing a mask and stuff? See, once they have the character, if there was I think AI says Joe Biden died in a bicycle accident 5 years before he was president. I don't know, something like that. But once you've got the character, you can just start putting people in masks and actors and just have them acting out the scheme. You know what I mean? It's a game anyway. They're just playing a game. It's a show. It's a big, like politics. It's a show. Circus.
But that means that David Icke, for example, I struggle with his simulation theory. He ultimately argues that there's one power right at the very top. What you're saying, I think, is more reasonable and more persuasive, is that you're talking about groups and frameworks.
Right. Yeah, because I've seen those pyramids and stuff, and I'm going to get into those in part 3. They say like at the very top is the Council of 13 or 12 and the Grand Council of Druids, and then the Queen and the Order of the Garter. And that's a big one, the Pilgrim Society, Order of the Garter. These are really huge Knights Templar. The Templar are really involved in this. Like the Knights Templar are the Jesuits. They're the P2 Lodge, the Grand Orient Lodge, Knights of Malta. They are way involved, and Switzerland is the belly of the beast. But yes, like you're saying, I don't see it as like there's 10 guys sitting in a boardroom at the top running it. I see it as it's these families. There is about 20 families, but now there are thousands and thousands of them, and the Committee of 300 and the Bilderberg, and Trilateral Commission, CFR. You've seen these flow charts. They just look like you can't follow them. It's too crazy. You're like, I don't even know where to look, and it's set up like that. It's the same with a corporation. Like the shareholders of the corporation and the CEO don't walk around the halls to 5,000 employees going, hello, what's your name, Alice? What is it you're doing right now? Like they don't have time to look at that shit. So they trust managers to run it all. And I see it more like that. It's like a corporation working together, a world corporation. That's how I see it. And they do fight within. Like I said, they are fighting over vertical and horizontal rule, as Sean Ross calls it. They too don't really know who's in control, the way I see it from my research.
So something that I've asked many people over the years, and I haven't been given a good enough answer, is let's just say it is the Jews, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What now?
Right. Yeah, exactly. What are you going to do now? Go kill all the Jews and stuff?
This is kind of what I'm alluding to. All of these "it's the Jews" comments. What is it that they want out of it? What happens next?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like Henry Kissinger, he was B'nai B'rith, which is allegedly a Jewish secret society sect. But when you look into B'nai B'rith, they were actually a Masonic secret society in the 19th century, and they gave a statue to the United States of America, who the Knights Templar and Jesuits were behind the American Revolutionary War, the Independence War from Britain. The B'nai B'rith gave a statue to them with Venus sitting on top, holding the torch with her boy lover son Adonis right next to her. And that's where the Rosicrucian symbol comes from, the rosy cross on the cross. That's from the story of Venus slays her son lover Adonis and spills his blood. And that is that's a symbol of the Rosicrucians and the Knights Templar. And it also comes from the Druidic thorn that Yesa Krios wore, like the rose thorn. So you're like, well, why would the Jews be giving a statue for American independence with the Jesuits and Knights Templar cult of Venus were behind, and then put Venus on top of it? Like, that's not even Jewish. Like, so that's what I'm saying. There are Jews involved, but they're under the control of the higher black nobility papacy family. And I show in part 2 that the Jesuits are not Jewish. A lot of people say, oh, it's because the Jesuits are Jewish. And you're like, no, I showed their own books and constitution saying they're no Jews. They hate them. They call them perfidious, which means treacherous, untrustworthy. They won't let you in their order if you have 4 generations of Jews on any side. That's up to your great grandfather, like 100 years ago. They're like, no. So there are Jews involved. That's people, again, like this is the problem I'm catching from people. They can't nuance. They're like, so you're saying there's no Jews involved at all? We've got the documents, And I'm like, no, I'm not saying they're not involved. I'm saying they're not in charge. That's all I'm saying. Yes,
I've got the US $1 bill here in front of me, and there is a pyramid with an eye at the top of it, and it's got Latin written around it.
Novus Ordo Seclorum, the New World Order. Yeah, the Roman Catholic priests speak Latin. Jews speak Yiddish and some Hebrew. So why doesn't it say, I don't speak Yiddish, but, why would you announce your New World Order in the wrong language, wrong religion? Jews don't speak Latin. I mean, it's in your face. Like that's, as you saw in the film, when I show stuff, it's like pretty obvious when you just have a think about it and look. You're like, oh, how come all these Catholic people and Roman Catholic knights and barons, and how come every time you really go looking into stuff, it's always this Christian, Catholic, or Presbyterian, or Protestant, or Anglican shit behind it. It just never, it never makes sense. What people a lot. I used to blame the Jews. I went down the whole Rothschilds, Khazaria shit. I went down all that stuff too. Like I didn't know. It's only when I started checking myself, saying, "Hang on, what's going on, man? Is this true?" Because you'd see articles and a film go around, and that's your research. Oh, I just saw a film. You're like, okay, but did you really just not? Did you look? You know what I mean? And what I found is when you look, you're like, shit, it's not what it looks like, which to me is the sign that someone's making it look like this, which I get into in part 2, who's doing that.
Someone said to me, if you can see them, then it's not them.
Right. Yeah. Unless yeah, exactly. But it's just the same. You don't rob a bank unless you have a scapegoat. You need like an alibi. So you got to blame somebody, you know what I mean? So that's what they do. They always put Jews out in front. They've always done that. You look at Hollywood, it's loaded with them, but that's people who hate the Jews. They go, look at all the Jews in Hollywood. And you're like, yeah, you never say, look, that there's more non-Jews in Hollywood. Nobody says that the Jews only make up 10% of Hollywood. Why don't you point to the other 90 and go, look at all the Jesuit organized crime going on, mafia, mafiosa, all that, all the Jesuit funding of movies for billions of dollars and things like that, Jesuit theater. The Jesuits made cinema. They invented the megaphone and then the lanterna magica. That was Kino. He was a German Jesuit. In fact, in Denmark, when the website where you want to see like what movies playing at what theaters all around the country, it's kino.dk. Like it's named after this guy. He invented all this stuff for Jesuit theater because they figured out that if they want a one world order, they need to get everyone to think the same way. So they were using plays and movies, and they were taking all kinds of subjects, even esoteric and pagan stuff, but they always put a Roman Catholic slant on it. So you got Mel Gibson running around going, the Jews run Hollywood, the Jews. That's his job. And then he's making the Temptation of Christ or whatever that movie is. He does the Jesus movie. First thing in the movie, within 3 minutes, they come to arrest Jesus, and there's a fight, and someone cuts off one of the arresters' ears, and Jesus heals it within 3 minutes, which isn't even in the Bible story. You're like, so this guy within 3 minutes has told you, yep, Jesus is God, has magical woolly powers and all that. It's just a given. And this is how they do it, right? Spielberg, who's Jewish, he does Raiders of the Lost Ark, which says what? They find the Ark of the Covenant, which makes it seem like the Old Testament is real, and the Hebrews were carrying around this ark that can shoot. They don't know that the ark is the basket. It's Irish for ark, and the cherubim are your two hemispheres of your brain. So he does the same. Then he does the Last Crusades, Indiana Jones, right? And then they find the cup of Christ, so that Christ is real. And sure enough, the cup heals his gunshot wound of his dad, and it's magic. See, this is a Jew pushing the same thing, that the Bible's real.
Spielberg actually has made some fantastic fiction. E.T., I think, is one of them. Another is Schindler's List.
Yeah. His movies are awesome. I love Spielberg movies. E.T., he's always pushing something like Schindler's List. He's got the Holocaust thing going. E.T. is the aliens. This is the alien shit from outer space stuff. There's always an agenda, but that's why they use him, because he is an awesome filmmaker. I love Spielberg movies. I just went and saw the latest Mind Control one, Disclosure Day. It's awesome. It's total mind control, but it's like, it was great mind control. And to me, it's the same thing. Like when I go see The Hobbit, I know it's not real, it's fiction. So I know a lot of truthers who are like, I'm not going to go see Star Wars because the space is gay and fake and all that. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still a great movie. It's just fiction, bro. You know what I mean? It's fiction. Like that's like saying I'm never going to read a fiction book again. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you? Like, you know what I mean? You need to have an imagination and stuff. So there's a lot of, as long as you know what you're looking at, it's okay to watch it for entertainment, I think.
Steve, from all your years of research, how has it impacted you personally?
For me, for the better, because, and it's not like the conspiracy research and all that. It's more of the esoteric research and things that I get into on that side. It's made, I just am very much more happy. I was very angry when I found out about all the conspiracy shit, and I was like, oh, and then I was scared, and then I was felt rejected by people and stuff. Now people are like, why are you laughing all the time? I'm like, because I get what's going on. I understand consciousness. The philosopher Alan Watts put it this way: you're the sky, right? You're just the blank sky. The sky doesn't get angry or judge when thunderclouds come or clouds are there or lightning shooting around or anything that happens. The sky just is, and it welcomes and just watches thunderstorms come and go and this and that, which is your thoughts and your mind. And we forget we're the sky, and we start attaching to our thoughts, which are the thunderclouds and lightning and hurricanes and tornadoes and hailstorms and all that, instead of just going, okay, there's angry thoughts going on there. Just observe them and let them go, and don't get attached to them. And you start to come to that realization, especially when you see like what a joke this whole place is. You know what I mean? Like as I show in Apocalypse Infinity, when you get what a joke this whole scam is, you just start being happy because you detach from it all. You don't get attached to like, did you see what I know so many, I won't say who this is, but I know some people who just broke up from a very long-term relationship because every night at the table they were fighting over like Donald Trump, or the guy is semi-black and the girl is a feminist, and they're having fights like who's more oppressed, like it's the women, no, it's black people, and they're breaking up, they're having fights, and I'm like, you both have like massive jobs making tons of money, you live in great apartments, you're not oppressed, you're just fighting. I'm like, why would you sit around fighting over that, instead of just be happy and cool together and stuff. And that's why it's helped me. I think the more knowledge you have and see what's going on, the less attached you come to it, because you know it's a scam. I think it's all about seeing the scams. That's what I think it's about. Right? Because you don't get attached to a scam.
No. I see time is starting to run against us. I'm just quickly thinking back. You and I became friends a few years ago. I think it was during the whole convert thing, wasn't it?
You were on TNT. I think I first, because we met each other through the Baileys, Sam and Mark, Dr.
That's
Mark
right.
and Sam
That's
Bailey.
right. Yeah.
And I think I was on your TNT show. This had to be in like 2020, 2021, something. Was that
early on already? Very early on.
2020 maybe, or 2021 early. Yeah. We've known each other a long time. I think I've been on like your radio and your Jerm Warfare like quite a lot, I think. More than I remember, probably.
No, I'm only saying that because you are one of those people. Check this fly that's now all over the place.
Yeah, he's crazy, man. I can see him all over.
You're one of those guys who...
Let's give him a name, man, and call him Shoe Fly. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was bringing it up because you were saying earlier that we were talking about listening to people and learning, and you're one of those people from whom I have learned a lot over the years.
Thank you.
So I really want people to go and watch Apocalypse Infinity.
Well, I learned a lot from you too, Jerm, because also like I watch your show. You're one of the few. I don't watch a lot of shows and stuff. You're one of the few I do, and you get like great guests. But yeah, thanks, man. That's a compliment. And you and I are friends anyway. Like, we write each other about normal, regular, behind the scenes shit too and stuff, which is great. So, yeah, it's been really nice to have a friendship with you, man. I think you're cool. You're on my bucket list. Well, someday I will get my ass down there and we're gonna go
to the Kruger National Park.
I got my shirt on, dude. Check it out. I'm already packing.
There we go. and I've got my cap.
There we go, man. Yeah. But yeah, people want to watch Apocalypse Infinity, Spacebusters, YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, Vigilante.tv, and now I'm on Mike Winter's new Terrain TV, which is awesome. I don't know if you've had Mike Winter on talking about Terrain TV. Amazing, man. I'll set you up with Mike. he had his own AI, not their AI. He has an AI in his house that he trained through Claude programming and all that to make a website that goes through all the good terrain doctors and terrain people, law people, vetted by him. And his AI grabs all our videos from all the channels as soon as we post them and puts them in one place so that they never get scammed in the search algorithms. And then he's got his own algorithms on this site. So if you want to learn like Ebola or whatever's, hantavirus, you just type Ebola and all the videos will come up with the stuff you'll never be shown by any of these sites or Google search and all that. So it's really amazing. Shu loves you, man. I think you need to take
and
have you been rolling around in dog shit or what?
and when you and when you come to South Africa, you must bring your guitar.
Oh, dude, we'll jam, man. Yeah, I'll bring my acoustic, and you can have your electric. You can play leads.
I do have an acoustic.
All right,
I've got a Taylor.
I love Taylors, man. Then I don't have to bring anything, man. Yeah, that flies on. But yeah, I know we're running late, so thanks for having me on again, Jerm. Oh, by the way, I always have to do shameless plugs. And people know. I'm the author of 2 children's books, and you were supposed to be the illustrator for this one. But of course, you had a baby and life was busy and all that stuff. So, and then we had another illustrator die, 2 quit, and we ended up having to use AI. But it actually came out really, really great for the illustrations. But anyway, Dukes of Dents and the Goons Laser Balloons on Amazon, and I'm going to send you a few for yours and yours truly. And, if you're going to be busy, I think, for a little while now, but I would love if in the future, if you do illustrate one of my books eventually, I think it'd be real fun to work on together. All right, brother. Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Steve Falconer, thank you for joining me in the trenches.
Cheers, brother.